And welcome to the Aaron Katzman Show. I'm your host, Aaron Katzman. We're here to speak about your life, your money, and your investments. And as always, we're coming to you from the spiritual and soon-to-be financial capital of the world, Jerusalem, Israel. Be sure to hit the subscribe button if you like this video, and as well hit the like button if you like this video. As well, so you can get all of our content that comes on YouTube, and we need subscribers. We're desperate for subscribers. What I would like to speak to you today about is an issue that I see a lot, especially here in Israel, and that's that people who are, I'll say, property rich, but cash poor. Okay, one of the most frequent questions I receive from people who come into a nice amount of money, whether they inherited money, they got a severance package, they had some options which hit in a high-tech startup, whatever it is whether they should buy a property. You got to understand, in Israel, people love property for good reason, but maybe they missed the boat on other types of investments because there's a perception that there is nothing as good as property, but that's not really true statistically, but we'll get to that later. Recently, I met with clients in order to do their annual financial review. While we were still exchanging pleasantries, you like that? They said they wanted to thank me. They proceeded to tell me when they had originally come to meet me about 8 years ago or so, they were thinking about using their entire savings and buying a house for about $350,000 or $400,000. They said that I actually advised them to keep about $100,000 back and invest it and use the rest for a down payment. They went ahead and followed my advice, and today that $100,000 turned into, I don't know, $150,000, let's say, maybe a little more, in their brokerage account, and they own a home. Then they said that their daughter recently got married, maybe a year or two ago, and they had no problem paying for the wedding. Why? Because they had plenty of money in the bank. Had they blown out their entire savings to purchase the home, they would have had to start scrambling to find the money to pay for the wedding. Now, this meeting really made my day. Why is that? Because they thanked me. I work in a thankless profession. So whenever anybody thanks me, it's like a good day. It's like, woo, yeah. What's important to say is when we're in the wealth accumulation phase of life, and we've got a long time out until retirement. Retirement is way out there. It's not even something we're really thinking about. The thought of keeping money liquid doesn't tend to factor into the equation. This means that whenever a sizable amount of money is saved or inherited, the only thought is, oh, I got to run out and buy another property. I've met so many people over the years that have invested their last penny into an investment property, into an apartment, or in their house or their dwelling place, plus an apartment or two for investment. It's true that I spend a lot of time speaking about this, and it's important that people save, right? I'm all for saving, right? Better that you save in property than you go out and blow all of your money on the latest electronic gadgets, okay? We don't want you to spend. We want you to save, right? That's the moral of the story. But there's another very important aspect that I think needs to be spoken about, and that's the need to pay attention to having liquidity. What is liquidity, right? When I say liquidity, what does that mean? Okay, it's the ability to quickly convert an investment into cash without losing any of the principal that you've invested. For example, a savings account is highly liquid. In contrast, real estate, ding, 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 is considered to have low liquidity. Why? Because of the time it takes to sell a property. And the fact that if you need to sell it quickly, like what's called a fire sale, you're going to end up paying the pipers. The price you pay is going to go, the price you're going to get, is going to plummet. Why? Because people take advantage, right? You don't believe me? I actually have a really good friend who lives down the block from me, who bought an apartment probably 5 years ago. And you know what? He bought it for 25% off the market price. That's in the middle of Jerusalem. Okay, that doesn't happen very often. Why? Because the couple was getting divorced and they were forced to sell their property. And he just happened to be, just worked out for him. He got lucky, but there you go, right? What's the moral of the story? If you have to sell fast, you might pay a significant financial price in order to unload your property. That's why, hence, property is not liquid. Many of my clients are at the stage of life where they're starting to also marry off kids. When we start to plan, they tell me how much their home is worth and how much is it appreciated, which is great. But, and there's no question that it's been a really good investment over the years. But as I've written, I've spoken about, I've podcasted, right? If they end up putting their last penny into their home, and while they may have a huge net worth, 95% of their money is tied up in a property. How are you going to pay for the wedding or some other large expense? Right? You can't take a saw and go right, start cutting and say, hey, here's a room in lieu of payment. It doesn't work that way. Right? Hey, take a bedroom. My kid's moving out, take the bedroom, right? It doesn't work that way. The best way to set yourself up financially is, after paying off any debt you have, to build an emergency cash fund between 3 and 6 months of your monthly expenses. If you spend, let's say, in shekel terms, let's say 15,000 shekels a month, you'd want to have a minimum of 45,000 shekels available, earmarked for your emergency fund. This will help you survive for a limited period of time. If you lose your job, you're ill, you need your wisdom teeth pulled, you got to buy a new fridge, whatever it is, you're covered. You don't have to start scrambling. We want to make life simple and easy for you financially. We don't want to make it complicated. After filling up your emergency fund, then you need to make investing for both the medium and long term a priority. I'm all for buying an apartment if you have the money, but it's important to invest in financial investments as well. By saving money in both parallel tracks, i.e. financial investments and apartments and liquid financial investments, you're going to be able to create a very, very nice nest egg, which can be used for expenses like weddings and, of course, retirement. So what's the moral of the story? There's nothing wrong with buying property. Property is great, but you want to leave yourself with a fair amount of liquidity so that if you have a large expense, you can actually pay for it. You don't want to start taking debt. You want to take debt, I'll just take a loan against my property. Don't do that, right? Why would you do that? Why would you put yourself in such a bad situation where you're debt free and now all of a sudden you're taking on debt and you've got a nice net worth, right? It makes no sense. So what do? Keep money available. Emergency fund, invest in financial investments, i.e., stocks and bonds, and save in property as well, right? That's the way to do it. You have been tuning in to the Aaron Katzman Show, where we speak to you about your life, your money, and your investments. Once again, be sure to hit the like button on this video. And if you've not yet done so, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thanks so much for tuning in, and we will speak to you soon.